Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of my Pokemon Battle Series, The School of Hard Knocks. Throughout this episode, like every other, we'll be jumping on to the Pokemon Global Link Battle Spot ladder, playing under the Championship Battle rules, which are the equivalent rule set of the VGC 2015 season. So, happy Thursday, party people. Hope you're all having a nice day and enjoying the latter parts of the day and into the evening. We're going to continue today's episode with the team we've been running all week, the Torkoal team. So we did a team review episode on Monday this week, showing how we kind of put this concept together and reasons why we chose EVs, movesets and all that. So if you haven't seen it already, go and check it out. It is worth the watch. But we're going to be using this team again today, and looking forward to tomorrow when the International Challenge begins. So that's the online tournament that you can participate in through the Global Link website and play competitive VGC and earn championship points as well. So we will have a School of Hard Knocks and a QR code episode as normal tomorrow, and then we'll have the videos from the International Challenge that I'll record starting Monday next week. So without going on anymore, we have our first opponent of the day. They are running a QR code team, so it is the popular Pheromosa Oricorio team for the Quiver Dance, copying and all those shenanigans. So their team overall is Pheromosa, Oricorio, Tapu, Lele, Garchomp, Torkoal, and a lot of muck, if I can get my words out. So what we're going to do here, we obviously need to be careful of the Pheromosa Oricorio lead, obviously. That is very threatening, but then we also need to be quite careful for setting up the Trick Room, because that Torkoal can freely just come in and start causing a lot of disruption straight away. Now, what are we going to do here? We are running Scarf Garchomp, which might come in quite handy. So I'm going to lead with my Scarf Garchomp. I think I might lead with... tempted to lead with Tapu Lele as well, to be honest. And I think I might lead with Tapu Lele. I'm going to have to be careful. Should I bring the Oranguru or not? Yeah, I am going to bring the Oranguru, and I'm going to bring my Torkoal as well. So we'll go with those two in the back and lead with Garchomp, Tapu Lele, and see how we get on. So we had a couple of good games yesterday. One against very well known UK player Sean Tyso, Food King. So that was quite an interesting game, and we finished up yesterday's episode with 2 wins. So we're not doing too bad with this team this week. Hopefully we can kind of continue that in today. So we will lead off this match with our Garchomp and Tapu Lele. My opponent is leading with that infamous lead of Pheromosa and Oricorio. So we can definitely probably expect to see either a Z move from that Oricorio and some Quiver Dance shenanigans going on as well. So what are we going to do here? Now I could go for Rock Slide. It's not likely that it's going to KO either of my opponent's Pokemon, but there's always a chance of the flinch. And as this Garchomp shown this week, it's always good at picking up those flinches. So what I might do is go for the Rock Slide. And should I go for a Psychic into the Oricorio or not? The Pheromosa. I think I'm going to just Psychic into the Oricorio here, because hopefully my Lele does. So the Oricorio actually protects this turn. Are we going to see an Ice Beam come out from the Pheromosa? No, we just see a Quiver Dance straight up. We will get the Rock Slide off with Garchomp though. And we do learn that the Pheromosa is max speed, so it is outspeeding my Garchomp here. Oricorio will get a Quiver Dance off as well, boosting its speed and special defense. We will get a Rock Slide off with Garchomp. Now this next turn we need to be very careful of an Ice Beam from the Pheromosa onto the Garchomp, because it will easily pick up a KO. So I think what I'm going to do is just shift, kind of preserve my Garchomp. And bring in my Oranguru. And I'm going to go for a... I don't think I'm going to be able to pick up the KO onto the Oricorio now after the Quiver Dance with the Psychic. So I might need to. I think I'm going to get rid of the Pheromosa here, if I can. So Garchomp is switching out. I feel like we're just digging ourselves into a hole rather than sorting it. Maybe should have went for the Psychic onto the Oricorio. We do see the Ice Beam come out from the Pheromosa. Does a fair amount of damage. And we are going to see a Z move from the Oricorio. So it's going to be the Supersonic Sky Strike, which will be probably targeting into the Tapu Lele. But Tapu Lele is quite specially defensively built. So we may be able to survive this. It'll be interesting to see. I'm not sure. It is a stabbed Z move. It's going to be hitting pretty hard. But we'll see if Lele can take it. Nah, no way. No way, man. Okay. So we're not in the greatest of positions here. But if we can get the Trick Room off here, we'll be in a lot better position going into the next turn. And I would imagine my opponent to maybe just double into the Oranguru here. So I might go for the Trick Room. And I think I need to go for the Eruption, to be honest, because I think my opponent really is forced to do everything it can to prevent the Trick Room getting set up. And I don't think it'll be able to do it with just one Pokemon. So I think I'm going to go for the Eruption here. Playing to the fact that my opponent expects the obvious Protect coming from the Torkoal. So if we get the Eruption off here, it does change the game significantly because we will pick up a KO onto the Pheromosa. We do see a Bug Buzz come off onto the Oranguru. And it does pick up the KO. So Pheromosa gets a Beast Boost. And we're going to get a Revelation Dance from the Oricorio. It shouldn't kill my Torkoal. It does do a good chunk of damage. Well, hopefully we've got enough now to be able to take out the Pheromosa. Okay. So we've got Garchomp against the world pretty much now. This is the problem with playing this sort of team. If you let it get set up, then it is going to cause you so many problems, and it's such a reactionary team. You get that turn one correct, like my opponent has done, and it's just going to put them in such an advantage going forward because you just can't really do much. If you haven't got the right tools to kind of combat against it and it gets set up, then you're just an uphill struggle. So what am I going to do here? I really have to go for the Rock Slide with my Garchomp. I don't think it's going to be enough to pick up the KO onto the Oricorio, and just go for a Flamethrower onto the Lele. I don't feel like I've got many other options, to be honest. So we see Scarfed Lele. It will get the Moonblast off onto the Garchomp and pick up the KO probably. Just misses out. Get the Revelation Dance onto the Torkoal, which does pick up the KO, and that is pretty much game here. We will get the Rock Slide off, but we're going to be missing the Tapu Lele and underspeeding both my opponent's Pokemon. So yeah, as we thought, the Rock Slide isn't enough to pick up the KO. So, lessons well learned here. I think what we should have probably done is led with the Trick Room option and tried to get the Trick Room off as soon as possible, because my opponent's basic tactic is relying on the speed of both of their Pokemon that they have out in the field at the same time, being able to get those attacks off first. And my opponent just playing around, carrying its own Oricorio. But yeah, like I'm saying, they rely so heavily on just being able to outspeed your Pokemon and just start chipping things off with their high-powered attacks. So, food for thought for the next time we come up against one of these sort of teams, or if you run a similar core and you're playing a similar sort of team to this, just make sure that you kind of do everything you can to try and guarantee that Trick Room be set up, because once you've got the Trick Room up, then the game is in your court and you're really controlling the field from that point, making your opponent react to your decisions rather than vice versa. And we see my opponent just go for the Killer Blow with the Lele and pick up the KO on Garchomp. So good games to my opponent, well played. That was it wasn't our best showing at all, but if you take anything away from this match, it's just how to approach playing this sort of team yourself. It is a popular call if you're playing the International Challenge this weekend or any tournaments in the future. It's a team that you will likely see through a Swiss rounds or through some point of a tournament. So, you know, just having a game plan at least going in against that sort of team is massive. It gives you such an advantage straight away. At least you know what you're doing rather than kind of going in blind and thinking, oh, I can just lead with this and it'll work out fine. And that's when things go terribly wrong. You need to have a game plan. You need to be thinking about how you're going to approach that team and what your game plan is to counteract theirs. Just being a step ahead of your opponent. That's the main goal. I mean, you look at... We'll go into that in a minute. We have our next opponent from Japan, 1546, with a team of Scizor, Tapu Bulu, Tapu Fini, Alola Ninetales, Arcanine, and Garchomp. So interesting to see Scizor. It's not a very popular choice this season, but it does have access to Bullet Punch, Swords Dance, so can be a very threatening Pokemon if not dealt with appropriately. So what are we going to do here? Obviously my opponent has Weather and Terrain control with the Tapu Bulu, the Tapu Fini, and the Weather control with the Alola Ninetales, so we need to be careful of that. We don't want to allow my opponent to set up an Aurora Veil either, because there's some bulky Pokemon in there like the Fini and the Arcanine that will really appreciate the Aurora Veil support. So how are we going to approach this then? I think what I might do is Intimidate could be quite nice as well. The Gyarados, but I don't think my opponent will lead with the Ninetales. I think he'd be more inclined to lead with like the Arcanine and the Garchomp maybe. So I might lead with my Garchomp. I'm definitely going to bring my Oranguru and my Torkoal here. So I'm going to go with the same 4 we went with last time, but hopefully this plays out a bit better than it did in the previous game. And having the Torkoal in the back rather than bringing it to lead with, it means if he does lead with the Ninetales or brings it in at any point, at least I've got the option to bring it in to stop that Aurora Veil from being set up. And then start instantly putting pressure onto the Ninetales, because Torkoal's going to be able to take those Blizzard or Ice type attacks relatively easy, and it's a nice switch into my Garchomp as well. So we lead off with the Tapu Lele and the Garchomp, and my opponent does lead off with what we thought, the Arcanine and the Garchomp. So we do get the Psychic Terrain at first, so we are faster than the Arcanine on my opponent's side of the field. My opponent's Arcanine does get the Intimidate off, so it is reducing the attack of my Garchomp. So what I might do here, I think I'm going to go for a Moonblast into the Garchomp and just go for a Rock Slide with my Garchomp. Get some damage onto that Arcanine, potentially setting it up for a KO the next turn with my Tapu Lele. But we do see the Garchomp withdraw from my opponent's end and the Scizor come in. And the Arcanine, so my opponent pulling the double switch here and switching in the Tapu Bulu to get advantage of the terrain. So a nice play from my opponent. But we do now have all the information for what my opponent's 4 Pokemon are. So we get the Rock Slide off, do very minimal damage, be able to heal some of that back up now the grassy terrain's on the field. And we get a Moonblast off and do respectable damage to this Scizor. So it's not too bad. Now, as the grassy terrain is in effect, my opponent can take advantage of the Bullet Punch now onto the Tapu Lele. So what I'm going to do is switch in my Torkoal and... Again, I don't want to switch in the Oranguru to take a potential Wood Hammer from the Tapu Bulu. But then Garchomp might... Yeah, I'm going to need to keep my Garchomp around, so I'm going to pull a double switch this turn. Because I would expect the Scizor to go for the Bullet Punch into the Tapu Lele or an Iron Head, possibly, and the Bulu just to go for a Wood Hammer into the Oranguru. So we pull the double switch, bring out our Oranguru and Torkoal. We get the sun onto the field. We know my opponent hasn't brought his Ninetales, so there's no risk of the weather changing now. Scizor goes for a Protect. And what are we going to see? So we're going to see a Wood Hammer from the Tapu Bulu into the Garchomp slot, which is the Oranguru, and it picks up a one-hit KO. So that's massive damage. But this does mean now that we are able to bring in our Garchomp and then threaten straight away with a Poison Jab onto the Tapu Bulu. I should have bring in my Lele here, because then we are threatening both Pokemon and threatening... Yeah, because if I bring in my Tapu Lele here, we're threatening not only the Tapu Bulu... say if we brought on Garchomp here, we're threatening the Tapu Bulu with a Poison Jab, but my opponent has the Garchomp and the Arcanine that he can bring in that slot. Reduce Garchomp's special attack and stat, and also lock me, and know I'm locked in, potentially know I'm locked into the Poison Jab, which is going to put me in not a great situation at all. By bringing the Tapu Lele in here, at least I've got the option to go for a Psychic onto the Scizor, and I've also got a Fire move which I can just fire off onto either opponent. So I am going to fire off an Eruption here, and who do I want to target? I'm going to target down the Scizor because it's more likely that Tapu Bulu switches out here just to gain the advantage with the terrain later in the game. And if he doesn't switch out, he's got to attack into the Torkoal, because if he doesn't, he's going to go down to an Eruption. So the Tapu Bulu actually protects. So the Psychic here against the Scizor with the Life Orb, we should be able to pick up the KO. Oh, we just miss out. Oh, that's not ideal at all. So the Scizor is going to get an attack off here, which is not brilliant. Goes for a U-turn though. Okay. So that works out a little bit better. Scizor actually goes down to Life Orb damage, so it won't even get to switch out. We do get the Eruption off, but it's not going to make any difference because the Tapu Bulu protected here. So I advise my opponent to bring in the Garchomp, which he does. Now we are a bit locked because the Garchomp is in a position to pick up the KO on both of my Pokemon here. You can Tectonic Rage potentially into the Torkoal to get the one-hit KO, but it's more likely that you'll probably target the Tapu Lele in this situation. Just to pick up the KO to protect that Tapu Bulu. You've got to always think about the Tapu Bulu if it does have... I'm going to go for a Will-O-Wisp into the Garchomp here. I'm going to switch in my Garchomp in for my Tapu Lele. Hopefully my opponent doesn't go for the Tectonic Rage with his Garchomp onto my Torkoal. And kind of reads the Protect coming from that slot because it is an obvious Protect. So we see the Tapu Bulu withdraw for the Arcanine. So far this is working out alright. Hopefully we see a Poison Jab potentially into the Tapu Lele. Or just an Earthquake. Well, we're not going to see an Earthquake, so maybe a Rock Slide. Yeah, so we see a Rock Slide. Our Garchomp will be able to take that quite nicely. Torkoal doesn't take too much damage from it, so as long as we don't flinch, we get the Will-O-Wisp off onto the Garchomp, which is great. So we are neutering that Garchomp massively here. I'm quite free to... Now I can Earthquake myself here, but my opponent can just bring in the Tapu Bulu, and we are going to be locking ourselves into an attack with our Garchomp. I'm going to protect my... Let's just see what we can do here. We could go for a Rock Slide. Could just go for a Rock Slide. Although we're not going to be doing very much damage to the Garchomp, to be honest. I think what I'm going to do is go for a Flamethrower onto the Garchomp and just go for a Rock Slide with my Garchomp. And at least start chipping down the Arcanine. So we see the Arcanine withdraw. Tapu Bulu come in. It will be able to take the Rock Slide nicely. It will get the grassy terrain back up onto the field. Get the Rock Slide off. Do we get a flinch onto the Garchomp? No, we are going to see the Tectonic Rage come out from the Garchomp. So it's probably targeting down the Torkoal, and even a burnt Garchomp is probably able to take us out, which is a bit unfortunate. So we will lose Torkoal here, I would imagine. Yeah, into the Torkoal slot. We have taken a little bit of damage already, so it's probably in range. Oh, we do survive though, so we will get a Flamethrower off onto the Garchomp. But it's not going to be doing enough damage. What we really need to do here is get... it's difficult, because we want to be able to... We're not going to be able to take out the Bulu at all. And we don't really want to change the terrain at this point of the game. I think we're going to have to fish for flinches. I don't want to change the terrain because I don't want my... I want to try and get my Torkoal's health back up as much as possible. I think we'll be able to take a Rock Slide from the Garchomp, to be honest. And like I say, I think it's not ideal, but I'm going to just go for a Rock Slide and a Flamethrower into the Tapu Bulu here. So we see the Bulu switch out for the Arcanine, so we're just going to see him cycle those Intimidates a bit more. Give it a bit more protection against the potential Earthquake from our Garchomp, with the grassy terrain up. We will get the Rock Slide off. Do a massive chunk of damage to the Arcanine. Is that a critical hit? No, it's not. Yeah, it is a critical hit. And the opposing Garchomp goes for a Rock Slide. Shouldn't knock out our Torkoal. No. So we do survive. We will get a Flamethrower off potentially. Yeah. No flinch. Do a bit more damage to the Arcanine, which is putting it in not. So the sunlight does fade there. We all heal up a little bit of health. So, what can we do here? I think just to heal back a bit more health with my Torkoal, I'm going to protect here, and I'm just going to go for another Rock Slide, because that should be enough to pick up the kill onto the Arcanine, and then just keep chipping that Garchomp down as well. And at least by keeping the Torkoal in and protecting here, as I say, we are getting a bit more health back, and we're keeping the Lele in the back, so eventually we can bring it in when that Bulu does come out. See the Arcanine go for the extreme speed into the Torkoal. Oh, we miss with our Rock Slide onto the Arcanine, which is super unfortunate. Opposing Garchomp goes for a Rock Slide. And we'll all again restore a little bit of health. So I don't think we've got enough in the tank to actually be able to take an extreme speed. But we might be better off just... Yeah, I think I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to go for a Flamethrower into the Garchomp slot. And another Rock Slide. Because it's better that we get the Tapu Lele in. It's not got very much health. But at least if we bring it in, we're not... I don't know what I'm talking about. Just ignore me. I'm just going to play it and see if we can win. The extreme speed might not be enough to take out the Torkoal here. So if we do survive, and there's always a chance that we will get a flinch onto the Garchomp with us just continually Rock Sliding. So what's my opponent going to do here? He withdraws the Arcanine. Okay. So we definitely can survive a Rock Slide from... Oh, the Rock Slide misses again. We can survive a Rock Slide from the Garchomp here. Garchomp Rock Slide, so as long as we don't flinch, we'll chip down. Come on, yeah. So we get the Flamethrower off. Chip down that Garchomp a bit more. Super important. And we'll get a little bit of health back with our Torkoal here. So my opponent must know by now that we're Scarfed. Scarf Garchomp. And I'm tempted to actually just bring in my... What I'm going to do is protect my Torkoal. I'm going to bring in my... Yeah, I'm going to bring in the Tapu Lele here. Because I think the grassy terrain ends this turn anyway, so we're not going to be getting any more health than what we would have done if we don't change the terrain. So if I bring my Tapu Lele in here, now everything's in kind of range for Poison Jab, so I can quite happily lock my Garchomp into Poison Jab, which will be able to take out the Bulu and hopefully the Arcanine because it's such low health. Because if I kept my Garchomp in there, I get the Rock Slide. If I don't get the flinch onto the Bulu and it's a long shot, then the Tapu Bulu is easily going to pick up the KO with the Wood Hammer onto my Garchomp, which it's going for. Picks up the KO onto the Tapu Lele. And now we've got the Garchomp to come in. So as I said, we can quite easily lock into the Poison Jab now, because if he switches the Bulu into the Arcanine will probably go down to the Poison Jab damage, and then the Garchomp's in such range now that it is going to be going down to burn damage very soon. So I will just go for the Poison Jab into the Tapu Bulu, and I'm going to go for a Flamethrower into the Garchomp slot. As I say, the Torkoal's got enough health at the minute to be able to take another Rock Slide. It's all dependent on whether it flinches or not, but we should be able to pick up the KO onto the Tapu Bulu here, pending any protects or switches. So the Tapu Bulu does withdraw. The Arcanine is going to come in. It will get an Intimidate off, but I think it's at so low health anyway. We should be able to pick up the KO with the Poison Jab onto it. So we get the Poison Jab off. Hopefully it's enough. Yeah, just enough to pick up the KO onto the Arcanine. And we'll see what my opponent goes for. He goes for an Earthquake with the Garchomp, so we will pick up the KO onto the Torkoal here. But doing very minimal damage to my Garchomp. Garchomp takes a bit more burn damage, so it is slowly getting chipped down. My opponent can bring in the Tapu Bulu now, which will kind of cancel out with the grassy terrain recovery on the Garchomp's burn. But we're threatening the Tapu Bulu so heavily here, even intimidated, the Poison Jab should be able to pick up the KO onto the Tapu Bulu. And that Garchomp hasn't revealed Dragon Claw, so it doesn't appear as though it's got anything that's going to be able to do significant damage in the amount of turns, even if my opponent does go for Protects to try and stall out to pick up a KO onto my Garchomp. So we'll lock into the Poison Jab onto the Tapu Bulu. Garchomp actually reveals Protect. And Tapu Bulu. So the double Protect from my opponent here. My opponent probably trying to get some health back with that Garchomp before it goes all out offense. But like I say, it is burned. It is going to be taking that damage every turn. And although we will be hitting it with Poison Jab, the burn damage on top of that should be enough. We should have enough in the tank to take it out. So we'll go for another Poison Jab into the Tapu Bulu. Like I say, hopefully it should be enough to take the Bulu down, even intimidated. So we get the Poison Jab off. Oh wow, okay. It reveals the resisted berry, so it is going to take it. So the Kiva berry, we see a Flamethrower come out from the Garchomp, and I would imagine a Wood Hammer, which will be enough to pick up the KO onto the Garchomp now. Wow. Oh. And picks up the clean KO onto Garchomp. So, what do you do against that? Nothing. Wow. That was, yeah, that took me totally by surprise. So, really good tech on my opponent's Tapu Bulu there. And he nicks the game. So, really well played by my opponent, and keeping that right until the very last minute when it counted. So it's just a good lesson to kind of go into and just see if you've got a tech like that and you can keep it right till the last minute of the game when it will matter for you to kind of steal the win from under your opponent's nose, then do it. So my opponent just played the board very well there, obviously rotating and cycling those Intimidates with the Arcanine, and just keeping that Garchomp alive with the grassy terrain on the field, and taking advantage of the turns when the grassy terrain wasn't in effect, earthquaking that turn to make sure he was picking up the KO onto the Torkoal that was threatening at the time, and then right at the death when I went for the poison jab onto the Tapu Bulu, revealing that, is it the Kiba Berry, I think, which reduces the super effectiveness of the poison type attack, which allowed it to survive with the Intimidate obviously stacked with that, and then picked up the KO. So a great end to the episode, good games to my opponent there, and I hope you guys have enjoyed these episodes. Bit disappointing that we lost both of them today, but I don't think there's any shame in kind of just looking back at the games and thinking, yeah, that's definitely, we know where we went wrong. We just didn't approach the first game very well, and as I say, it would have probably been a much better idea to kind of go on with the game plan of getting the Trick Room up and then going from there. And in that game, well, those sort of items do throw you off. There's probably areas, if we look back through the game, where we could have improved, but that is probably going to be something we look at another day. So I won't keep you any longer, guys. Thanks as always for watching. If you've enjoyed the episode, leave a like, subscribe to the channel for all the daily updates. We'll have another episode of the School of Hard Knocks tomorrow with another QR code episode as well. We're using Japanese player Suka's team this week, so it's a super fun team. So if you haven't checked it out already, check it out tomorrow, and until then, I will see you later, guys. So thanks for watching again, and take care of yourselves, and until tomorrow, I will see you later. So bye bye.